Kanye West is a big fan of Donald Trump, but that doesn't mean that he can't have the occasional critical word for someone in the Trump orbit, including Jared Kushner.
Sitting with Jared and sitting with Josh and finding out other pieces of information, I was like, wow, these guys might have really been holding Trump back. What is it? His work in Israel or his work in Palestine? What is this? You know where he made these peace treaties? Where was that? Do you know the facts on this right here? So I'm like,
well, I think that was between Israel and some of the Arab nations.
I just think it was to make money. I just think that that's what they're about, is making money. I don't think that they have the ability to make anything on their own. I think they were born into money.
It's my favorite thing that he's ever said, because he's totally right. He's totally 100% right. He's just not only right about the people he's talking about. Like, he's saying they're holding Trump back. Those people who were born into money and only care about money and can't really produce anything, they just take people's money. Yes, that is 100% true of Jared Kushner. It's just that Jared Kushner can't hold a candle to Trump in those exact categories.
Yeah, no, Kanye's never been more right. And so, look, fairest show in America. I loathe Kanye West. Anybody who watches the show knows how much I can't stand him. I think he's one of the dumbest people in America. I've said it today already several times, and I'll say it again the next time we talk about him. Because I don't like, nothing is more nails on a chalkboard than people calling that dumbass a genius. Okay, so now, but nonetheless, I'm gonna tell you that the two things he said are both totally right, okay? So he talked about how he went to dinner with Jared and his brother Josh Kushner, and that they were handling him, and they were handling Trump, and that they thought that Trump and him were the crazy ones, and that they were the smart businessmen who would handle him. Do the Kushners actually think that? Definitely. Yeah. By the way, are they right about half of that? Yes, Trump and Kanye are crazy, and so if you're a rational person, you don't have to be smart, just a rational, non-insane person, you would think, how do I handle these lunatics? I mean, one of them was wearing a White Lives Matter shirt, even though he's black, like what white supremacists wear. The other one, says that maybe we should nuke a hurricane, and that the stealth fighter is actually invisible to the naked eye. And I can go on and inject bleach into your lungs. I mean, we can go on and on and on. These are two verifiable lunatics. So if you were the Kushners, you would definitely figure out, how do I handle them? Okay, now, but there's the second component is even more true. Were the Kushners looking, and Ivanka and all, et cetera, were they looking to capitalize on their time in the Trump administration to make money? Of course. Did they think these rubes, Trump and Kanye, let's take advantage of them to make money? Of course they did. And did they actually do that? Yes, right after he got out of office. And by the way, both Tucker and Kanye didn't know, but one of the countries that they made the peace treaty with was Saudi Arabia. And lo and behold, right after he got out of office, Jared Kushner started a private equity company, and he got a tiny little investment from a country called Saudi Arabia. But do you know how much it was? Maybe it was de minimis, maybe it's not important. I mean, I'll give $200,000, no big deal. $2 billion. He got $2 billion to invest for Saudi Arabia. He takes a giant chunk of that every year, right? It's gonna make him fabulously rich. And was he planning that while doing foreign policy for the United States of America, that he didn't actually care about our interests but his own? Of course that's true. And but look, the funny thing about Kanye is he's so unintelligent, he doesn't know what he doesn't know. So everyone else in the Trump administration already knew that. And they're all trying to do that. And so they thought, well, we don't talk about that publicly. Of course, we're just trying to rob the American people for our own benefit. But to Kanye's credit, he doesn't even realize that. He's like he's not part of the robbery is my point. Look, I'm being fair to him, right? So when he realizes it's a robbery, and it dawns on him super late. I mean, they had the dinner in February. Like Trump's been out of office this whole time. That entire time he supports Trump, all the way to now 6-7 years later. And he's been friends with Jared Kushner, and he's finally like, oh, Jared just wants to rip people off. Really, Sherlock, you just figured that out. But yes, thank you for being accidentally honest.
Yeah, I agree with you both. He's completely right for the wrong or unknowingly wrong reasons. I will say though, Jared Kushner is a Jewish person. His family is Jewish, Holocaust survivors. And Kanye West has, saying that Jewish people are out just to make money could be interpreted as anti-Semitism, not on its own. Jared Kushner is definitely a scam artist, but given Kanye's history of anti-Semitism, I mean, for the love of God, today on his own Instagram, he posted a screenshot of a conversation he was having with P. Diddy, who was concerned with Kanye's erratic behavior, was like, hey, give me your address. Let me meet up with you. I promise it's not a threat. I just want to make sure you're good as all love. Kanye responded and said, I'm gonna use you as an example to show the Jewish people that told you to call me that no one can threaten or influence me. So I'm just saying, maybe behind the statement, there was a little more malice and a little more bigotry than it initially gave off, just given, his other statements about Jewish people.
Yeah. Well, then he's screwed, because if there's one thing Tucker Carlson hates, it's anti-Semitism. And I know that Kanye's gonna be back on his show tonight. So there's gonna be some hard questions that will materialize.